Here are 10 things that I really like about the new Weebill 3 from Zhiyun. Hey, my name's Jake and I create content here to help solo creators on the go. So I test and review lots of drones, cameras, lenses, filmmaking equipment here in Alaska, and give you tips and tutorials on how to use them so you can tell better stories. If that's something that interests you, consider subscribing. Today I'm giving you my top 10 things that I really love about the Weebill 3 and one that I don't. Now, Zhiyun did send me this gimbal, but they're not paying for this review. They have no input into this video and they don't get to see this video before it's launched. One of the things I really like about this gimbal is how lightweight it is, and especially if you're doing things like this or like hiking through the woods and kayaking someplace, having a smaller, lightweight gimbal is really important. And this one really is a lot lighter weight and a lot smaller than most of the other gimbals, even the Weebill 2 or the RSC2. All of those gimbals are quite a bit bigger and quite a bit heavier. So for a lightweight travel gimbal, this is really good. When I first got this gimbal, I was really unsure about the design. The whole wrist pad thing that came off the back really kind of threw me for a loop. But after using it for the last month or 6 weeks, it really is fantastic. And especially when you're doing low shots like this, or you're just walking through the woods and you kind of want to be able to rest your hands so you're not having to hold the whole weight of the gimbal. It is amazing how much load it takes off of your wrist from having to hold the gimbal up. The fact that this gimbal has a built-in light really actually makes it a lot more useful if you're a running gun filmmaker and you're going to places where you may not always have great lighting or perfect lighting. It's built in, it's bright, it's pretty color accurate. You can even change the color temperature, but just having a light with you all the time means that you can pretty well get shots in places that you may not have been able to if you didn't bring a light with you. I really like the layout and the placement of these controls, especially if you're right-handed. They're fantastic because it's all right there. Basically, you only have to use one hand on the gimbal. Unless you want to use two, you certainly can. But having to be able to use just one hand and basically access all the controls makes it really nice. Now, if you're left-handed, it's going to be a little more difficult because this really is laid out for a right-handed person. This gimbal does have a really great OLED display. It's really bright and it's easy to see what you're doing or what your settings are, especially because it displays like what mode the gimbal's in right away. But it's also easy to go through and navigate the menu using the jog wheel and the menu button to be able to adjust or change any of your settings on the fly. Even though this doesn't have removable batteries like past gimbals have, and I still kind of like that the best, this gimbal has incredible battery life. Zhiyun says about 21 hours, and honestly, I've been using this all day. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 hours so far, and I've only dropped 2 bars. So I would say that, yeah, this thing gets pretty amazing and incredible battery life. Plus, as a bonus, you can use power delivery and recharge it super fast. Now, while this gimbal is small and lightweight and compact, it does have really powerful motors, and that means a couple of things. One, it will be able to stabilize footage even though you're running or walking and not really even trying to smooth out your walk, like you're not doing the gimbal walk. But also, it means you can put bigger, heavier lenses on this. And so while I love the M3 because it's so small and tiny, I like this a lot more just because it has the size and the strength to be able to handle larger camera loads. Like I can put a mic on top of this camera and have no problem. So case in point, I can put my 24 to 105 in here, balance it at 24 and then go all the way out to 105 and not have to rebalance the gimbal, and the gimbal will handle it fine. It's a really good sweet spot of size and power. Now, when they first sent this to me, this little bottom part really threw me off and I didn't really understand what they were doing with it. But the fact that you can, if you balance your camera well, you can set the gimbal down on a flat surface and it will just stay there is really nice, because that means you don't have to have a little tripod with you. Now, I do keep one of these with me just because I like having the extra length that I can hold on to down like this when I'm doing maybe certain kinds of moves. And then I like a little bit of extra stability because I tend to put my camera and my gimbal down in a lot of places that aren't exactly perfectly level. I love the fact that every gimbal coming out these days has got gimbal locks, but some of them have been pretty weak, and I've definitely trashed a few. The original Weebill Lab, I broke those gimbal locks fairly early on. They were pretty weak and they didn't last that long, but these are really strong and really robust. It's a big piece of metal that you're putting in there. I mean, it really clicks in tight and then it feels super solid. So they made a massive upgrade on the gimbal locks to keep this locked if you're sliding it in and out of a bag or a case or something like that, or if you're just running around with it like this and you want to make sure nothing's going to move. The gimbal locks on this are a serious upgrade. Something that I found really cool, especially now that I have the new Sony 16-35 power zoom lens, is the fact that you can remotely control the power zoom from the gimbal. If you plug the camera in and then set up the control wheel to where it actually sets so it will zoom in or zoom out, and it enables some really creative and cool things. But it also means that you don't have to put your hands on your camera, which means you can get a smooth shot regardless if you're zooming in or zooming out, because you don't have to actually touch the camera. When it comes to price, there's a lot of options out there. Some of them are very expensive and some of them are not so expensive. Now the Weebill 3 comes in at $450, which is really not bad considering the feature set you get and the amount of things that you can do with this. I really think it's a great price point, and that is something I like about this when other gimbals are, you know, pushing $800,000-$900,000. $450 sounds like a pretty good deal to me. And if you're in the market for a gimbal, this is certainly a great option for that price. The one thing I don't like about this gimbal, and I have this complaint about a lot of gimbals these days, is they don't have interchangeable batteries. This one does not have any interchangeable batteries. I wish it did. Even if they were some sort of modular, built-in, specialized interchangeable battery, that would be fine. Just, I like being able to swap batteries out and recharge a set while I'm working with another set and not have to worry about it. That being said, you can recharge this pretty quick over power delivery, and you can just put a power bank in your pocket and charge the gimbal while you're still using it. Now, if you want to see how gimbals stack up against each other or how to use gimbals, click or tap right there. I put together a playlist. I'll see you in one of those videos. As always, if you have questions, you can ask me in the comments below or join my live stream, which happens most Wednesday nights at 4 p.m. Alaska time, 8 p.m. Eastern. I'll see you again soon in the next video. Cheers.